What's up everyone, it's Manny from NXISEWOLF. I hope everyone is keeping well. In this video today, I want to be covering how to create better hi-hats for your trap songs. So I've got a really basic kick, snare and hi-hat loop, which sounds like this. Now we can definitely tell that this loop is super simple and a little bit boring. So to make this a little bit more interesting, we want to work on those hi-hats to make sure our drum groove moves just a little bit better. So there are a few ways we can do this. We can use a drum rack or any other drum machine in Ableton, whether it's stock or third party, or we can actually drag our audio files onto the arrangement view, but this can sometimes be a little bit troublesome for some people. I mean, I sometimes use this method and I drag in all my drum sounds into the arrangement view, but I never drag in my hi-hats into the arrangement view. What I usually do is I put my hi-hats into either a simpler or a sampler, just so that I can get a little bit more greater control. But in this example, I'm going to be using a drum rack just to keep it nice and simple for everyone. So let's have a look at how I actually program these hats. I have these hats running at an 8th note throughout my drum loop. Now we can start adding some more hats in over here, but we want more fine control over how we actually do this. So the first thing we need to do is separate the hi-hats from the drum rack. Now to separate the hi-hats is actually pretty simple. All you have to do is open up your actual drum group, locate your hi-hats. I know that this is the hi-hat. And we want to just drag it out of the group. And notice how it makes a new drum rack for you. So in my first drum rack, I've got my kick and my clap. And in the second one, I have got just my hi-hats. Now the key here is to ungroup this new drum rack so we can access the piano roll when editing our hi-hats. So the only thing you need to do is just go down to your drum rack. So this is the drum rack for my hi-hat. And we just want to right click on it and go down to ungroup. And it's fully taken it out of that drum rack. So all we've got left is a simpler with a hi-hat in it. I'm just going to double click this and I'm just going to select my hi-hats and just going to pop them back up to normal at C3 at normal pitch. So we can right click and change our grid settings to whatever we want them to be. And just under fixed grid, we've got a few different options. I'm currently on an 8th note at the moment, but if I change to 16, we can see that we've got a little bit more control because these grid lines have got way finer. And this in return will allow us to obviously program in faster hats that are moving at a 16th note. So let's have a listen to our loop again, and I'm going to start making some adjustments. I'm going to pop some 16th notes in there, and you'll definitely be able to tell the difference. And just by adding those few 16th notes, it's already sounding much better. We can now build upon this by adding some 32 notes in there. And so again, we just want to right click and we want to change our fixed grid to 32. And again, I'm just going to pencil in some more notes. Now, this is sounding pretty dynamic, sounding way more interesting to me now. So we're definitely going in the right direction. So if we want, we can actually take this one step further again and add some triplets in there. Now, firstly, before we put in the triplets, I'm going to tell you what triplets are, and it's super, super simple to understand. A triplet is basically a type of rhythm in music that plays 3 notes in the space of 2 notes. And these 3 notes are evenly spaced, so the result of the sound sounds a little bit skippy, a little bit bouncy, which can definitely be a good thing when creating these trap hi-hats. And again, triplets are not only designed for trap. You can use them in any type of music, to be completely honest. So if I right-click this grid, and I select triplet grid, and I'm going to right click it again. Actually, I'm going to choose an 8th. So we're running at an 8th triplet. And now you can see exactly what I was talking about when I said 3 notes instead of 2. We've got 3 sort of sections over here. We can see that there is the first section, second section, and third section. And there's only 2 notes in here because these are not playing in a triplet. So I'm just going to add some quick triplets in, and let's just see how it makes our hi-hats sound. And you can definitely hear what that triplet is doing right in the middle. So I've got my 4-bar loop, and right at the 3rd bar, just the beginning of the 3rd bar, we've got this little triplet going on. And guys, just a quick one just before I move on with anything else. Just because I done this in a specific way, it doesn't mean you need to do it in this order. If you want, you can start off with triplets, or you can start with 32 notes instead of 16th notes or 8th notes, or you can delete specific parts of the hats, you can add some gaps in there, etc., etc. So just keep an open mind when you're actually creating music as a whole. You know, it's more about the feeling than anything else, to be completely honest. But anyway, from here, we can continue adding to our heart's content. We can add some 32 triplets if we want, or we can add some slower parts by using quarter notes. It's completely up to you. Just try not to overcrowd it or overcomplicate it too much. All right, so we've covered the 16th notes, and also we just went over the basics of triplets as well. But now I actually want to add 64th notes in. I want some sections to be a little bit faster. But if we right click and we go down to this fixed grid, we don't see a section or something that we can click on that has 64th notes. So what I usually do is I go to the 32, and I'll sort of zoom in somewhere. Say that I wanted a 64th sort of trap roll over here. I'll just make a 32, and then I'll select all of them, really zoom in a little bit, and cut their timing in more or less in half, and copy and paste them over. It's as simple as that. And we can definitely tell this part is super fast. So let's have a listen to it. All right, so it's definitely showing a little bit of attitude now, and the hi-hats are starting to sound really good. So what's the next step? I personally like to adjust the velocity of the hat so they sound a little bit more organic. And there's actually a couple ways of doing this. We can load Ableton's velocity plugin to affect our sound, obviously, or we can actually do it manually by adjusting the velocity lines down here. Now, that's what I'm going to be doing. So I'm just going to drag this up, and I'm going to adjust a few of these velocity lines. Cool, so I made some velocity adjustments to my hats and they sound so much better. I sort of alternate my hats a little bit in regards to how the velocity plays out. So I've got a loud hi-hat over here, and then it goes softer or quieter, loud, quiet, etc., etc. And on these faster rolls over here, especially on that 64th, I've done a really aggressive sort of velocity ramp. Now, if you guys don't know how to do a velocity ramp, it's super simple. Select the notes that you want to adjust. And if you're on Mac, you press and hold Command. If you're on PC, it's going to be press and hold Control. And just draw a line in. Literally just draw a line in. And that's it. And then let go of Command or Control. Now, if you guys are still struggling to come up with some interesting hi-hat patterns, there are some specific places that hi-hat rolls actually sound good. And we can call these specific places sections, pockets, areas. You can call them whatever you want them. It's absolutely fine. In my opinion, I like the hats to change in time just before that clap hits. And we can actually see that over here as well when I actually penciled it in. So they're just changing right before that clap hits. And again, that sort of gives that sort of bouncy sort of feeling, makes it sound much better in my opinion. I also like to add a different time or a different pitch to the end of my drum loop. So if we have a look at these few hats over here, I can just select them all and sort of move them down. And this sort of tells the listener that, hey, we're actually approaching the end of our 4-bar loop or our 8-bar loop. And it just sort of resolves nicely back to the 1. And sometimes, guys, I actually like to pitch individual notes as well. So if I just get this little hi-hat roll over here and pitch that up, and I'll pitch the next one up. And let's actually select all those, go up by one more. See what that sounds like as well at the end. And I really like that ending over there. I think it sounds pretty cool. So just remember to have fun with it. Remember to pitch your hi-hats up and down. Remember to use the different timings on the grids. And the grid is your best friend. It's, like I said, it's super, super valuable. So make sure you use it correctly. And if you're still getting stuck on, again, like I said, where to place certain things, you need to really experiment and find out what works. So if I zoomed in, just for example, we can see everything sort of is even, right? It's an evenly shared space. So I've got one hi-hat over here that is taking 2. I've got another hi-hat that is taking 2 sort of boxes or 2 line grids, whatever you want to call them. Then I've got one taking 4, and then these are taking 4, and these over here are taking 1, 2, 3, 4 as well. So no matter how fast my hi-hats are going, I'm always sort of keeping it even. I'm always keeping them evenly spaced and even to the actual bar structure itself. So just bear that in mind. And that's everything for today, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, drop a comment below, it'd be much appreciated. And if you aren't yet subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because I'm going to have plenty more tutorials coming out very soon. All right, guys, much love. Manny from NXISEWOLF.